Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our virtual visits. Here we are on a nice and sunny Friday afternoon in April. April already, Dr. Maleyko. Can you believe it? We're already into the month of April.
Yes, it's unbelievable. And unfortunately, it's an April like no other that we've experienced. But yes, at least we can say the positive is we're seeing the sun out and the weather's getting nicer. I think that's a real positive, uplifting thing to see, given the current crisis and what we're dealing with.
Exactly. I mean, we all know the reality of the situation, and so any little bit that can lift our spirits, because that's important too, to mentally keep ourselves in a upbeat as we can. Although I know that so many people are dealing with so many very serious circumstances right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all the families that may be dealing with direct issues related to COVID-19 or secondary issues related to that and some hardships they may be following, including some of our students. We feel bad for, I know we have a couple of our guests here have been on the council for a few years, Superintendent's Advisory Council. We have Abe and Zeinab joining us today. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
So it is exciting, Dave, to have some students, and we allowed you today to go into our meeting. We had a virtual meeting with Google Hangouts, the same format we're using here today. And just so you know, since we do have Fordson students today, I am wearing my Fordson gear. I did get approval. I wasn't going to wear the hat, but Zeinab gave me the thumbs up, so we got the hat going today too, right?
Got one for me too.
Oh yeah, you too, Abe. So I think earlier at the meeting you were like, "Hey, what's that Dearborn High jacket?"
Yeah, I did not see any Fordson gear, and I was starting to get a little worried. But you had the shirt on under the sweater, so
see, that's like 2 years ago. I remember when Fordson was playing Dearborn at home at Fordson. It was a Fordson game, and I was on your side of the field and wearing Fordson, and someone said to me, "Hey, I bet you have some other things underneath there." Yeah, you're right. I'm not a fool, right? I know. If I go to the other side, I better wear the other colors, but I got to be equal to all sides. But right now we're with Fordson students, and so that's why we're favoring the Fordson today because of our guests.
Well, and I think it's a good idea to get the students on, and thank you to both of you for joining us. I mean, this is really impacting you guys probably more than almost anybody as far as the day-to-day schooling goes, other than the teachers who are involved in it day to day. But how are things going for you, and how goes the online learning? I'm just going to go ladies first, Zeinab.
Yeah, we've been doing our schoolwork. We've been using a lot of resources such as YouTube, Zoom, Google Hangouts, and iLearn. Our teachers have been making sure that we're compliant, and they've been amazing. They've been really trying to make sure that we are continuing our education.
Great.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what she said, yeah, absolutely. And I stressed earlier in the advisory meeting, the teachers have honestly done an excellent job in regards to giving out assignments, communicating with us, letting us know what to do, giving us resources to study from, to pull material out of, textbooks, links to textbooks, virtual online textbooks. And it's honestly been very helpful. And, I think they're honestly doing a top-notch job, and I really don't think they can do any better. They're doing an excellent job, and I'm glad the teachers we have in the Dearborn Public School system, they're on the front lines as well, and they're really pulling through for the entire district. So thank them.
And I could just say I've seen that as well. I've seen the positive stories, the videos being sent to me, emails, all sorts of things, firsthand accounts like from you. Is everything perfect? No, because no one knew that we were going to get into this situation. But I've seen a lot of people, we have just under 1,500 teachers, and everyone has jumped up and they want to help students. And I've seen the positive stories. So we appreciate you recognizing them. And I want to just say, I've put it out in my communications, really appreciate the work the teachers do. And of course, all our staff coming together. But right now we're talking about the teachers who are in direct contact with the students for the most part. So that's who you would see. And they've done some amazing things. And I do think we're in pretty good shape here, given what some of the work that's gone on with online learning and other things. In fact, we just had a teacher that was named that's going to sit, Amy Gwiz is going to sit on a committee for the state on virtual learning. And then you may be aware that I'm on a committee with Dr. Rice. So some of the work we're doing in Dearborn is why we've been selected to help the state as well. Having said that, big news came out yesterday, David. Students, how are you feeling with the governor's official announcement yesterday that the school year is officially closed as far as physically being in the buildings? We are going to continue at learning online and other things, but how does that, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm a little upset because, these years fly by, but it's okay. We understand that safety comes before everything else. And sitting on the Student Advisory Council, we serve as liaisons between the students and the administration. Some concerns that was brought up about this new announcement was graduation, of course, for the seniors, and how are we going to continue our education, and how is that going to look like? All three high school senior boards are now in contact with each other. They've brought up some the concerns, and they have suggested a couple of things, which we relayed, of course, to the superintendent. And we're just looking forward to hearing an announcement soon about what we could possibly do. But right now, all we can do is just wait.
Sure. Thank you, Abe.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, it is a little bit, upsetting. Basically the school year, we don't get to see our teachers face to face anymore for the rest of the school year. And being that I'm a senior, it hits a little harder for me. But it's not just something that we're dealing with; it's something the entire globe is dealing with, and so it's something that we have to put safety and health first, and we all have to pull through for the benefit of the public good. And so, obviously, it's an honor being on the student superintendent's advisory council, and a lot of my peers, are asking me, there's a lot of confusion that's going on. So, they come to me and, they ask what's going on, what's the superintendent saying. So it's an honor and a privilege and a responsibility to be a liaison to them and to express to them what's going on straight from the superintendent. And so I think it's very important.
Well, I'll thank you too, and I appreciate you being a liaison for them, and appreciate the conversation we had earlier, because it also resonates with me of what are the main concerns, like graduation, prom, grades. So we don't have the answer to all of the things, but I will mention as far as the grading, I'm not going to say which way the district is going to go yet, because we have to put together a plan. So per the governor's order, we do have to put together a plan. It has to be approved by the county. So until the county superintendent approves, it's not official. But we have committees working right now that are going to work on those grading. There is going to be required work, though. This will be part of it. So anybody that thinks that we're just kind of saying we're not going to do anything, and then we're just going to graduate, or we're just going to go to the next grade, that is not accurate. Now, the governor's order does say we won't harm anyone because of the COVID-19 crisis. So there is an important thing to understand there, is that means that we can't harm anyone because of limitations due to that, whether that be because they don't have online learning or other things. But there'll be other ways for us to get work to students, whether that be through mailing packets or other things. So although we don't have all the answers, as I told the advisory council right now, we think all learning is good for students. And I just tell, students, it's important to follow our official social media and the blogs and those kind of things. And Abe, you mentioned earlier, I may try to do a little bit more of the, 1-minute videos on Instagram, because we have a lot of students there, so we can get that message out. But I do think that's important for students to at least know that, yes, grades and things will count. So you got to do work. But not only that, some of you are graduating, going to college. Do we really want to be behind? Even if you're a third grade student going into fourth, you want to stay with the work. We want people to not be behind when they come back, because we will come back at some point. So I do think I would say, look, do the work, because it's important to do the work and it's important to learn. But having said that, the district does have the authority under the governor's order to make requirements, and we do plan to do that. So,
I think, and all of that is vitally important. And like you said, Dr. Maleyko, when a lot of this we're still working on. The governor just came out yesterday with her official recommendation, or her official orders. We're right now dissecting all of that and putting together a plan that we have to submit to the county, which is part of her orders. And that plan will have a lot of those details in it, and we'll continue to push those details out. The other thing that I think I want to touch on quickly here before we get away is the Board of Education and yourself, Dr. Maleyko, you are committed to celebrating our seniors some way, somehow, maybe not in June, maybe later. It may look different. It may not look the same, but I think it's important for our seniors and for our students to know that.
Correct. Yes, that's something we're committed to, and I know the board's going to be involved with that. We're going to get input from the students. And for Abe and Zeinab, that was one of the discussions we had today as you guys came up with some ideas. I also told you that we're going to meet in 2 weeks, and you're going to maybe think about some other ways that we can do that and bring that back. So that's important, David. I don't know, Abe and Zeinab, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
No, we just want to make sure that we prioritize safety above everything else. And students have to understand that we recognize that it's their senior year, but safety for them is the biggest priority.
So obviously, as I said, my peers who are seniors, are coming to me with concerns, and I think it's important that you look at this situation not from a unilateral perspective. You have to think of it, collectively. This doesn't just affect one person. It affects everyone. And I know it obviously is important that the seniors do get recognized, and I'm pretty sure that the district does intend to do so, however it may be. But obviously, piggyback what Zeinab said, safety and health is the main concern. It is the priority, and we have to prioritize that, and we have to find the best alternative to our situation. And hopefully it all works out for the best. We all gave our suggestions, and we're going to meet later on in the future and give more suggestions. We're all going to come back with some more alternatives. So, and what you said, Dr. Maleyko, the class of 2020 is going to be a class to remember, for in history. So we have to make sure that we come up with something extraordinary, not extraordinary, but something that will show that we pulled through together, and we truly came up with the best alternative with the crisis that we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's true, because that was a good point we discussed earlier. I kind of did bring that up in the committee, is that this is going to be a class to remember. Everyone's going to remember the 2020 graduating class under the COVID crisis, and it'll be something in the history books, really. So whatever we do, I think it's, I know it's disappointing that you don't get your tradition, but every other class has had those similar traditions. You guys will be the only unique class that we're actually, and again, I think it's going to be remembered in the books, because I don't know if it'll ever happen again this way. So again, trying to recognize, and I appreciate that people have, those concerns, and that you guys have been able to articulate that in the meetings, and you're doing that here today. So really appreciate your leadership on the council, and the fact that you're also listening to your peers and bringing the ideas forward. So I also appreciate, and Dave just saying, look, they see the big picture. They both have mentioned the health and safety is the greater good. So you guys understand the sacrifices now, and I think that's why the governor made, I appreciate the leadership of the governor and the decision she's made, because I think it was a tough decision. To make that decision, no one wants to close school. I know she even has, I think she has a senior this year, I believe, one of her children.
She mentioned that, yeah.
She's been an advocate for public education, so it was a tough decision, but she did it in what you just said, the greater good of society and all of us, and we will get through this. So, Abe, Zeinab, I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing some of your thoughts. And I look forward to our next meeting, and we'll continue to stay in contact on WhatsApp. And Abe, and I've seen some of the count, and I'll also appreciate the suggestions on how to use Instagram more efficiently throughout. So you guys have helped me going. I wouldn't have even been on Instagram if it wasn't for you guys. So appreciate that, as well.
Yes.
Thank you
for joining us. And Glenn, thanks a lot once again. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by and taking a few minutes to spend some time with us here today. And keep tuning in as we continue to update you as this situation continues to unfold. And we all will have additional information as we get information brought to us. And as new plans come out, we'll continue to share that with everybody. So until next time, thanks a lot.